seemed like they were just waiting for us to show up over there on Blue Sky. I see Urban View, Clay Kane, Reese Colbert, me, Laree, everybody over there cutting up, and folk are coming, and that's all it took, just like that and just like that. And there is a question about why there. Joel Christian Gill is over there as well. Welcome back. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Karen.
Yeah, so I've been for the last couple of years. I set up a Blue Sky account in 2023. I have a Spill account. I have a Spoutable account. I have a fan base account. I've connected. I've had Isaac Hayes III on the show. I like him. I like the idea of investing in something. And why don't we do this? Because it's black owned. At least we know it's black owned. Do we know whether it's really
Yeah, that whole
black
thing, the
owned?
thing,
I don't
I don't like that
know.
idea about, capitalism is going to get us out of what the problems that capitalism
Out of
got us into.
capitalism, yes.
Yeah, like collectivism is what's going to get us out of this. You
That.
know,
Say more. Say more.
I mean, look
Define
at
it.
all of the things that have done that made successes in people's lives. It was not policy from the government. It was collective action from people, right? It was a bunch of women in the 1890s and early 1900s that decided, you know what, women should be voting, right? And they got
White women.
together.
White women.
Yeah, white women.
They didn't want black women voting.
Well, yeah,
They didn't.
there are some people who was like, yes, we want all people to vote, some of them that weren't. But because just like in every time we've had, people who that sound like they want to talk for everybody, but they're actually talking for specific people.
I'm
Um,
talking specifically about Katie Stanton, like the heroes of the women's suffrage movement they're putting I voted on their grave, did not want Ida B. Wells, Sojourner. None of them black women
yeah,
involved. They just
they were
wanted
very upset.
yes,
They were
yes,
very upset that black men got the vote before them.
correct.
But
So,
there were
but I'm
groups of
sorry.
women. Yeah, there are groups of women, and there are groups of people in every age who band together. This is one of the reasons why. This is my conspiracy theory. You want to hear my conspiracy theory?
Yes, I
I
love it.
believe that there was a group of people who looked at the Arab Spring and look at, because remember when Marx talks about the proletariat talking to each other, right? Because that's the first step in overthrowing the elites, right? First they talk to each other and they realize that we're being screwed, right? And then they get together and then it's off with their heads, right? And so where was that happening? Right? It was happening on Twitter, right? And I believe that some people got together and they decided to poke the electric asshole and stroke his egos. You know what? You should buy it. You should go ahead and buy it. It would be really good. Wouldn't that be a lark? As they say. Wouldn't that be a lark if you bought Twitter? And then he bought it and turned that off, that idea of people being able to talk to each other. I think that's the same reason why they're trying to ban TikTok, because people talk to each other and they realize how screwed they're being, right? It's like that song. Remember that song that came out last year, Richmond, North of Richmond? And it was that bluegrass song, and all these conservatives started like latching on to it, like this is the idea. And then the guy came out and was like, no, I'm talking about those people, right? Those are the people I'm talking about. So like that idea of like the people talking to each other, I believe that's the reason why Twitter was bought by the electric asshole, so that people couldn't talk to each other, because that's what they're afraid of. I think that's
And
what the
and he
billionaires
wanted
in America.
he also wanted a space to push mis and disinformation, which he was able to do as well. Much the
Yeah,
way Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, the last cycle, 2016, was able to use Cambridge Analytica and mess with our elections. Then it's a powerful tool. TikTok
yeah,
is a Chinese powerful tool because
yeah,
unfortunately, 40%, I think 40% of our young people get their information from influencers, which
yeah.
are on social media platforms. 40% of this is study just came out, Pew Research. Young American adults are increasingly getting their news from social media influencers, and the majority of whom are men and a lean to the right. This is only going to get worse. One fifth of U.S. adults reported regularly receiving their news from online news influencers, not people that know anything, not journalists, not folk that read, influencers. Kai Sinet, Joe Rogan, like you're getting it from people who I don't, this is a problem to your point. So because it's the open public square. So let me just give you some insight into, how I move. I have Nubia where I am right now, which is not like Twitter, is not like Spoutable, is not like anything. It's community. It's the very thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
To have a space where a professor like Mario Beatty can talk politics the way he talked today, for 2 hours, and it was fire. I was like, oh my God. And then get raw and real because you're at home. You're not in a
Yeah.
place where there's judgment and people are going to be talking about you behind your, it's like it's a real home space. So I have that. But then when you think about the public square, you want to have a safe place where you can drop, like on this show, we put out the information so that folk when they get home can go scroll through all of the articles. Like there's an article on the monkeys being let out. There's an article like we post the emu, the feral emu. Like we're gonna post on social media so that for our listeners to be able to then fact check us as well. But you could also read the article. So I'm not just rattling off stories. You can actually read it, and it's also a place where we can be cheeky and have fun and back and forth. So it was like, okay, fan base. I'm vehemently against the notion of fans. I feel like we need to move away from this idea of influencers. I think we need to move away from this idea of me monetizing my following. Like that shouldn't be,
Yeah.
the money shouldn't be a part of it, no more so than it should be a part of politics. Right. I feel like
Right.
if you then are then encouraged to put stuff out and be more outrageous so that you can make money. I don't think that that's where we should be going, but I respect, Isaac Hayes III and how he's moving. I like him as a person. I don't know him that well, but from what I've seen, he's always been an honorable, upstanding man.
Yeah.
Spoutable, I don't know. When I asked Chris Boozy off mic, offline, if a million people came tomorrow, do you have the bandwidth? And he was like, he hesitated, right? So I'm like, I don't want to be someplace where I'm not sure that the tires have been run through. Like, and I think he's an honorable guy. I think he cares. I don't know him though. So these are
Yeah.
people I don't know intimately. So I'm just talking based on just initial interactions. So I have an account there, but the way that thing functions is not similar. The best, closest thing to what we're already doing is Blue Sky. And
Yeah.
so I've talked to a couple of those people there as well. Spill, I don't get spill at all. I think that's for people who are in their 20s and 30s, and it's just not my flow. It's dark, it's weird with the images. I don't get spill. It seems like it's nice. I like the tea and the spilling and this nice little wordplay, but in terms of functionality, I don't know how I do what we do here on my computer, because that's the other thing. I'm on my computer. I'm not an app person. I'm not somebody that's going
Oh,
to be scrolling in my phone. Everything that I do is on my computer. So I need to be able to do, because that's how I'm able to interact with people so easily.
okay.
I'm in Nubia under community.narrative.com on my computer, not on the app. So I'm able to, rock and roll a lot easier. And so that's it. And it's wherever we are. Yes, we're making somebody else rich. So you have accounts everywhere because it's all a numbers game, right? It's all a numbers game.
Yeah.
So they can still count me wherever I am. But the engagement and what we do here in terms of putting out information, this is where we're going to be. And I feel like Blue Sky is about to crash. It's struggling today. But I remember the first days on Twitter. That thing was crashing every other minute. You had to
Yeah.
refresh that thing. It was crashing, crashing, crashing. So there's going to be growing pains with everything. It would be nice to support, something that's purely black owned. But is anything, can you, like, we're not in a black owned space. We're on SiriusXM. Right now, you're
Yeah.
listening to me in a space we don't own. Okay.
Yeah.
So like we're going to have to make decisions of utility. Can we use these spaces to deliver the messages to the people that need to be able to go do the things that need to be done? The answer is yes. So let's go do
Yeah, and I
that.
and that's what we've been doing, right? Like, one of the things that I am heartened by when thinking about this current time we lived in is my mother, who's 77 years old, grew up in a time where she drank from a colored water fountain, right? She drank from a time when men couldn't look white men in the eye, right? So if she could survive that, then I can survive this. If they could continue to fight with that was the case, then I can continue now, right? And that's the thing that I think about when I think about leaving, right? That's the thing that I consider, right? There are people who stayed here and fought the good fight, and they made some, increment changes, right? That made things better for everybody else. And as mad as I am that Obama gave us hope, and it wasn't that he did anything, right? It wasn't that Obama did anything that was other than the Affordable Care Act that was, monumental, right? It wasn't like his policy. It was just the idea of who he was, right? Scared so many people that this backlash has been what it is, and they had to take all of our hope away from us, right? I mean, not people that I talk to that I know that I grew up with, like redneck, ketchup soup people is what I call them, right? because they grew up in the projects what I did where I grew up. But my mama was like fixing food, poor people's food, which is like fried bologna sandwiches, and they were eating ketchup soup.
First of all, fried bologna sandwiches are fire.
Fire,
I used to,
yes.
they are fire. That and mayonnaise sandwich. I used to stay at a house that I didn't know that they were poor, but they had mayonnaise sandwiches, and I used to request that when I got home, and my mother's like, "No." I'm like,
My kids used to get mad at my wife gets mad at
mayonnaise.
me because I would like chocolate sandwiches was a thing we used to use when the icing was low. When we had icing from a birthday cake from a month ago, we made chocolate sandwiches. Discovering chocolate sandwiches as a kid was the greatest discovery in my entire life.
Come on.
100%.
Come on, and that's how you know kids don't care whether you rich or poor. They just want your time, and those memories are forever. Because I, to this day, crave a mayonnaise sandwich.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you. You give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.